Live.
Yes, we are.
Hi, everyone. Hello,
Hi.
Owurakujnr.
Hi.
How are you doing, my dear?
Um, it's a bright day. I mean, it's not raining these days, so but it's pretty chill here. It's pretty chill.
When was the last time it rained in Accra?
For some reason, it's been raining. Like I think 4 days ago, it rained here.
Yeah.
It rained. A couple of days before that, it also rained, and where I am, sometimes they get flooded on the main road.
Ooh.
So like cars have to like divert into the inner roads before they can make their way out of wherever they are going. But yeah. So these days when I see the sun, I'm happy about it.
We have.
Hello?
Hi.
Can
I went
you
to
hear me?
try and call other people. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, our how do you put it? Our enemies will not get us today. Yeah, but
Oh,
we've also not had a lot of sun here, but finally it's starting to come out. And I know
mm,
one person has joined us. This is the first time I'm doing YouTube live. I don't know who this person is, but whoever you are, thank you for joining. And
thank you.
please feel free to send messages. I think they will show up as you do. And so you can join that conversation in this way. With this being said, Oweku, I think when we were talking about having this conversation, the point was to keep it at a key. To
Yeah.
keep it as hello, Alex. Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes,
it's
yes,
okay.
yes,
I
yes,
can
yes.
see the comment here.
Oh my
Legend
god. So good to see you, babe.
who are joining. Beautiful. Thank you, Alex.
Hi, Lady Phil. Hello.
Oh, hi.
It's really good to have others in the room with us.
Mhm.
We are just going to get started. We plan to keep it a key, so we are here to key. And yeah, finchim, yeah, bedin komo. And
Yeah.
to just start off, I want Oreko and I to tell you a little bit about how we met each other. We've been friends since 2024. No, 2014, right? So over 12
14.
years.
2014.
Yeah, 12 years of friendship. And we met in a group of, I think, over 100 people. But I think for you and I and a few others, the connection, that queer vibration was just,
Yeah, it was like I knew you like, who's that? Who's that spicy girl? Who's that
who's
radiant
that
over?
spicy person? Who's
Yes.
that tiny spicy person? Yeah. And I think since then, it's just been a journey of friendship and
Mm,
comradeship because
yeah.
I think during our uni days was when we encountered Akosia Hansen and the Let's Talk Consent initiative. That was
Mm-hmm.
her flagship program going around the country
Mm-hmm.
talking about the need for awareness on sexual consent. And we joined her bandwagon. And then no sooner Drama Queens was born. And
Mm-hmm.
this baby of ours, this fabulous theater, storytelling, feminist, Pan African queer organization continues to thrive and work with marginalized communities, centering their stories, their realities, and advocating for them through community building to this day. And
Mm-hmm.
this has been since 2017. So Drama Queens is almost going on a decade.
Yeah.
You'd be like, yeah. So that's just a little background on Oreko and I, how we met, um,
Man.
how queerness brought us together, and how we've worked towards building a just and meaningful world. And now we are sitting here about to give you some insight, I guess, as to what has been happening with the anti-LGBT bill. And so I will just start off with, where is this bill coming from? The first time that the World Congress of Families, this is
Mm-hmm.
a right wing extremist group made up of Christian evangelicals from the United States.
Mm-hmm.
They visited Ghana in 2019 to have a 2-day conference with their Ghanaian counterparts, who are called the Coalition for Proper Family Values. This was in 2019.
Yeah.
And it was at this conference that they laid out their grand plan to introduce anti-LGBTQ legislation within Ghana's, laws and policies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some people here on this live, such as Alex, infiltrated this conference and went and gleaned information on what was happening in order for queer activists in Ghana to be aware and also just work towards this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put this aside. In 2019, LGBT Rights Ghana was fortunate that after so many years of organizing underground, building community of almost 500 vibrant queer people across the country, advocating, building community, all of that, that work could be physically manifested in a community center. And once that community center went live, these Coalition for Proper Family Values people saw it fit to use that as a stepping stone with which to advance the anti-LGBT bill that
Mm-hmm.
then came out in August of 2019. So the plan
Are you
to
talking about in August of 2019? Are you talking about the space or the introduction of the bill? Because that was
the
like
introduction of the
2021.
bill, or was it in 20? Oh, I've got my
Yeah.
I've got my facts mixed up. 2 steps back. Let's lay the timeline again. In 2019, the conference
Mm-hmm.
happened. World Congress of Families, Coalition for Proper Family Values met in
Mm-hmm.
Accra,
Yeah.
right? And
Then yeah, then the LGBT rights office happened in 2020, and then it was shut down in, I think, when it was
February
shut.
2021.
Yes, February 2021, and shortly after the bill was introduced. And
Yes.
then when the bill was introduced, bill was introduced in 2021, because that kind of like also, um, like nothing. It didn't just come out of like it just erupted out of nowhere. It's been a sequence of one or two things happening, and then finally these I think it was eight members of parliament that came
Mhm.
together to push and advocate for this bill as a private member's bill, and they introduced it in February 2021. And like you were saying, the Congress Family or World Family Conference thing happened here in Ghana. The LGBT rights office was shut down, and then which was very sad because it felt like a lot of community members came together to put this office together, because it felt like a sanctuary for um, young people, old people, queer people to come together to find resources, be it health, be it education, be it like legal support and whatnot. And then this was shut down. And then they introduced a bill. Sam George leading the bill, with he and his cohort of anti-LGBT, and at the time I think the name was promotion of proper human sexual, sorry, it's a mouthful, promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. So this was the name of the bill, right? Because they decided that, oh, the already existing colonial legacy law of that criminalizes same-sex activity is not enough, right? That's not enough. We need to like expand it, deepen it, and then um like just put a stop on the
Yeah.
community. And so that was when the 2021 was when they introduced the bill into parliament. Yeah.
Yes. And there is an article from Rita Inketia on open democracy that actually goes into details about what happened at the World Congress of Families conference in Ghana. And this is just so that you know that it's a coordinated effort across the African continent to
Hmm.
criminalize the existence of queer people, because you had like those who were at the forefront of like advancing anti-LGBT sentiments in Kenya and other places present at this conference, trying to like teach the Ghanaian homophobic coalition how to go about legislating hate. And one thing that was really powerful about everything that happened from February 2021 until date was the community response, the international community response. In the
Yeah.
US, people started marching to the consulates. Like one person became 50 people in a week. In the
Hmm.
UK, multiple demonstrations were organized. Celebrities
Hmm.
came together to say Ghana supports equality. There was such an outpouring of support, even
Hmm.
as we were going through one of the darkest waves of
Yeah.
homophobia to ever hit us collectively. And this was necessary because we were literally fighting against the media, all the religious bodies, and the
Hmm.
politicians in Ghana
Yeah.
coming
Those three.
together.
Ah.
Yes. And so this bill went to parliament, and this bill was basically saying if you're gay, you're going to jail. If you say gay people should exist, you're going to jail. If you escape Ghana because Ghanaians are trying to jail you for being gay, the country should return you so that
Bring back.
Ghanaians can
Hmm.
jail you. And once this went out, thanks to the rule of law that we can demand be
Hmm.
upheld in Ghana, a call went out for memoranda to be submitted for anyone who would like to shed insights on this legislation. And
Yeah.
yes, there was also an outpouring of submissions both for and against the bill. And
Yeah.
the debates went on. The bill was passed by Parliament, but it reached the presidential stage, and the president, why did he not sign the bill?
So when it was introduced in 2021, it took about 3 years before consideration, like it's being read in Parliament, started. I think the reading started sometime in 2024. Yeah, 2024, when they had to go through clause by clause reading of the bill in Parliament, and then I think in um, it was passed in 2024. I forgot the specific date, but it was passed in 2024 in Parliament. And then when it was passed, I think the president came out to say that, oh, he's heard that there's a lot of anxiety within the international community and the diplomatic corps, and also among the citizens, about the anti-LGBT bill being passed. And it was a huge concern for Ghanaians, queer Ghanaians, human rights activists, and even the international community, that Ghana has like actually passed the bill. And then the reason why it was such a huge concern, not just because of how outrageous and outlandish the content of the bill is, but then also how um what it was signaling to the international community, because Ghana for the longest time has been observing human rights, be at the forefront of
Signing
protect
on to
human.
everything.
Yes, and then so it was a huge concern. So the president came out sometime in March 2020, 2024, because it was yes, It was passed in February 2024, February 28th, 2024. That was when it was passed. So then March, the former president came out, President Nana Akufo-Addo came out and said that, oh, Ghana is not going to backslide on its human rights laws, but the bill has not reached his desk yet. However, there's also been, some
An
legal,
injunction.
yes,
There were
there's been,
injunctions.
yes, an injunction because I think there's a counsel like Richard Sky and Dr. Amanda Odoy. They both individually sent petition to court, or they sent like a case to court, to the Supreme Court, to to contest the constitutionality of the bill. And so that was also a case that was also going back and forth. And then so the president, took his time to get the for the bill to get to his desk, and also to kind of observe what was going on in at the court, right, at the Supreme Court, because of the fact that this injunction was brought at that level. But then eventually it was tossed out. It was, kind of, the Supreme Court said that it was too soon. It was too soon. And then the reason why I said it was too soon, because it's a
It was
bill.
too soon to contest the bill, or it was too soon for such a bill to exist.
Yes, it was too soon because the Supreme Court deals with laws, right? Not legislative
Bills.
bills, right? And so that was a bill, and that belongs to the parliament. And until it has been assented on by the president for it to be, then it becomes a law. Then it is, widely spread across the nation that, hey, this act is now, yeah, it's now an act now. Then this is now a law that governs everybody, that everybody must observe. But then the president didn't assent on it until he left his
So he
office as a
basically left it on his desk and exited.
and exited. And he just, he didn't assent on it. He didn't sign it, which was, I feel like, was a big win, a big win.
Ah, ah,
Yeah,
makes all the sense in the world, because then when Mahama came in and then he was asked whether he would assent, he said it's old, it's outdated, it needs to go back, um, because it's supposed to be on his, like, on the presidential desk for a certain period, and then it expires. I think that was. You
yeah, yeah.
might wonder. Do you want to add anything, over?
Sorry, I don't know if my network is bad, but I'm kind of losing you at some point.
Oh, is it okay now?
Yeah, I
Okay,
can hear you clearly now.
great. Like, you might wonder why we are taking you on a trip down memory lane. Is because the bill has gone through up onto the presidential level and then come all the way back out. And now it's going back in. So I
Yeah,
think it makes all the sense in the world to analyze how we did things the first time round, and what were the levers that were pulled, not just on our side, because I think the bill became a game of hot potato. The only people that wanted it were in parliament. It was clear that President Akufo-Addo, his former President Akufo-Addo, was not interested in passing this bill, despite the politicking. I have maintained, my personal maintenance is that the fight against legislating the anti-LGBT bill is on the electoral level, because
mm,
if bills will be signed by a president, you need a president who cares about the optics, but also a president who is not homophobic. We understand that Ghana is a homophobic country, and we understand that performance is key, and we understand that politicians need to perform in order to
mm,
attain the votes that puts them in office. But I think
mm-hmm,
that as queer people, we have a good read on who is benevolent, who is dangerous, and who maybe we can handle. And I think for me, under Akufo-Addo, I always suspected that he was going to sweet talk his way around it, because in the end, legislating this bill means that you go down in history like Pontius Pilate. You know, it's a thing you don't want your name assigned to if you are somebody who has moral, political, reputational awareness. You don't want the historic ramifications that comes with the fact that it was under your rule that this bill came to being. So I was really cautiously optimistic under Nana Akufo-Addo. And then during the election phase, this was when my heart went back into my mouth. And maybe I might be, saying something risky on this call, but between our two main flag bearers, I always felt that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, like if you stripped off everything and left these people as like human beings,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of my reading,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Baumia is homophobic. And John Dramani Mahama is a closet, not ally, but
Be careful of
closet
your
not
words.
homophobic. You know, because we all know when he published his book in Accra and his gay bestie came, like he has to politic. But I always felt safer with him on the seat. Doris says, I have always felt like this about our presidents, that someone who cared about international folks' view of them was the best for us in this specific instance. Oh, you are. Oh, you are. Like, and before we are going to move on to how the bill is again being hot potatoed around the second
Mm-hmm.
time now that it's in parliament. But I really
Mm-hmm.
just it's been on my heart to say that
Mm-hmm.
it's great that we are organizing and we go hard and we're able to like galvanize support when the bill is in parliament. But for me, the fight
Mm-hmm.
begins on the electoral level. It's about busing queer people into a specific constituency, registering all of them there, and we get to choose the MP of that constituency because we voted for that MP. It's about getting seats in parliament. It's about voting for people that we can at least read that they care about international optics, because
Mm-hmm.
we'll get to it.
But also,
Mm.
like one of the things that um I'm kind of observing now, like the community is also observing now, is that it's no longer who is for and against the bill now. It's more like a for political football. Like because like when the former party the former government was in power, um they were, because they were in power, they needed to navigate this sensitive issue very
Yeah.
meticulously, right, that it doesn't bounce back, because the opposition was on top of their neck, with some George being in the opposition's party, you know on top of the government's neck. You need to pass this, and it has been 3 years. Some of the things that he was saying, it has been 3 years. And this was when it was introduced in 2021, and it took a long time. It took literally 3 years before they started reading it, and it was like, it's been 3 years. Why is this not being passed? Why is this not being legislated into law? And um now, but what we're seeing now is that now there's a new government in party, and the old government is now in opposition, and now they are the ones using it on top, like using it to push the current government into the corner to say, well, we told you that it
Yeah.
was difficult to pass this bill and whatnot, and you guys were on top of our necks, and now you guys are in the kitchen now, so
Yeah.
we are going to, right? And so I think they today they set up a press conference, or so the opposition, they set up a press conference to kind of like say um the hypocrisy of the government in not passing the bill, because when they and to be honest, they campaigned on the back of the anti-LGBT bill to say that this is something they are going to pass. This is something that that is needed for Ghana. They need to legislate around queerness. But then the conversation is no longer about if queer people exist anymore. It's about how state is trying to regulate people's lives. Because the thing about the bill is not it's no longer the old colonial legacy, which is like criminalizing same-sex activity. It's about your identity, which is very wild to me.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
the first part of the bill is saying that, oh, if you identify. I'm like, at so
Is it the new
what the
one or the old one?
no, this so this was the same thing in the old one, the one that was introduced in 2021, and this is the same thing that has been, not much has been changed in this reintroduction, right? This reintroduction came sometime this year or last year, sorry, 2025. It came last year, and they've been playing, politics with it, right? Trying to get the president to, to feel the heat about this, about this bill. And I feel like they know what they're doing. They really do know what they're doing. And at the end of the day, the people that are suffering is the community that are, who are affected by this, the talk about this, and how even the media is not doing justice or is not being honest about the reportage. Because one of the things that we noticed during the anti, when it was introduced in 2021, there was a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation. Like I had to even go on TikTok several times to go and debunk a lot of these misinformation and disinformation coming out. Even before before it was passed, some people will come out and say, yes, now it has been passed. So they feel
Yeah.
emboldened, to arrest you, to surveil your movement, and kind of like dictate to you where you should go and where you shouldn't go. So it's very interesting that it has been reintroduced again, because like I was saying, they use this as a campaigning, bulletin point to mobilize people together to win votes, right? And get people to vote for them. And a lot of people, voted for them because they thought they would come and do something about it. And now they're in the seat of government with the largest majority in parliament.
Yeah.
And but well, they're still advocating for it to be passed. And I think recently, I think sometime March 20th was when the parliament closed the receiving of memoranda. And I feel like it's a waste of taxpayers' money, because we've been
Yeah.
through this process before,
Yeah.
right? We've collected several memos, but I guess it's because but I think the president told us that the previous bill in 2024, it's expired. So because it expired, everything about it is dead, right? So it's no longer there. And that is why they now, it's no longer 8 MPs that are, advocating for it. It's 10 MPs, with the lead, the person leading it is now like someone from the opposition party. It's no
Yeah.
longer some judges actively, behind the bill.
Oh, I guess we are already in here. So before we jump in here cleanly, let me just close the chapter on the first time the bill made the trip through
Hmm.
our legislative framework. This took 4 years of queer people being in
Hell.
limbo, of
Yeah.
a lot of 21 activists were jailed for almost a month.
In May. Yeah.
Ask how many queer activists exist in Accra. That's virtually most of us, so many difficult things happened during that period, and now we are here. It's happening again, and I wasn't on social media when, I guess, things started heating up. I've not been on social media for months, but
Hmm.
somebody texted me at work and went like, "The bill is back.
Yeah.
What do you know about it?" Because of my involvements during the first round, when I was serving as programs director at LGBT Rights Ghana. And I was sad. Like, I just texted Oreku because Ora knows what's up. And Ora just gave me the tea. Ora told me, you know, how things have advanced, who amongst us was able to get a memorandum in during the period, and also
Mm-hmm.
like helped me join ongoing, I guess, organizational efforts to once again counteract everything that is happening. And
Yeah.
I think this is the point that I leave it to you to Eban is saying this new bill,
Oh,
Eban is saying.
I mean,
Oh, before we
like,
do, let me just read some comments. We have a bot here called Ivan Petrovic. If you are not a bot, say something about what we are talking about. Then Miko says people even thought the bill was a law at some point. Yeah. Like one of my good friends who is non-binary, who has lived in the same community in Teshi as I have for a long time, was beaten up because people thought they had the legal whatever to help them to do that. Um, and Philopoku says, I really love that this conversation is happening from an international perspective. We want our advocacy to be directed by Ghanaians, civil society. Our strategy cannot be led with the voices of the global north, and this cannot be performative. Ora.
I
Like
agree, and
it's
I
such
think.
a dicey thing also. But
Mhm.
Ora, you go first.
I was just gonna pick up from like what you were saying about how come we are here now, and I mean, for the activist community, we knew that this was gonna come again, and the reason why we knew that this was gonna come again is because when the bill died in 2024, because the previous president didn't assent on it, one of the things that the President Mahama said during the time was, "Oh, it's a private member's bill," and that if, and he said this to a congregation of religious leaders and council, right? He said this to them that, oh, the bill is a private member's bill, and that if it is reintroduced as a government sponsored bill, it will get his attention, and he would go ahead and sign it. He said this. He said this in 2025 to the congregation after the election, the December 7th election in 2024. After he won, and he went to sit in front of these
Yeah.
congregation just
Yeah.
leaders, and then he said
Yeah.
this to them. So then we knew that the president coming in has a mindset in passing the bill or in
Yeah.
receiving the bill once
Yeah.
again. And so while we thought it had expired, and it was just with the previous government, and so for some of us we knew it was going to come, but we didn't know how soon it was going to be, and it literally came back in 2025 when I think the parliament was on leave, and then it was sent to them, and then it was received, and then when it was received, it was reintroduced again. And then when it was reintroduced, it's still the same thing.
And
It's still the
so
same.
you said this time it was reintroduced. First, it was reintroduced from NDC, and now it's being reintroduced from MPP.
Yes, I mean, more more of the MPP MPs are within the 10 members of parliament pushing for it to be reintroduced, and they are now also fighting for it to be read, considered clause by clause once again, for it to be read, and for them to unanimously, because it was previously unanimously voted for, and so this time, if they go through it clause by clause again, we are trying to see if it's going to be unanimously once again be voted to become a bill. But I don't want us to get I miss my hope that we don't get there, given the fact that the president, the current president, President Mahama, in a conference or so, and also like to Ghanaian, when speaking to Ghanaians, that the bill is not our top priority. I mean, it's not our most pressing issue right now, and I think a large number of us agree that this is. I mean, it's not. it's not a like it's not a far-fetched thing to say that why are we considering anti-LGBT bill? Why are we using taxpayers' money to consider anti-LGBT bill about criminalizing a person's identity, about criminalizing the support of a community, right? That that are constantly being abused, that are constantly facing violence within our community. And so it's not our priority, right?
Yeah.
Because we shouldn't care about what two consenting adults are doing in their room. But that is the thing. That's what I'm saying. It's no longer if you are for or against. It's about how our parliamentarians want to use state resources to regulate people's life, right? And we forget that there's a rule of law, like you were saying in Ghana, their constitution. Like the reason why two learned counsels, two like lawyers sent the bill to Supreme Court was to contest its constitutionality because it violates so many constitutional rights and provisions. But this is where we are, right? Um, so yes, it has been reintroduced in Parliament. Um, the Parliament opened up for once again memoranda to be sent in by civil society, by individuals, by the international community, and by citizens. And a lot of us also sent the frontliners activist community in Ghana sent in a memoranda. I know a couple of organizations also sent in their memoranda, and even some international community organizations also sent in their memoranda. And what we are noticing now is that as loud as it was in the previous version, this time certain things are flying under the radar. It's like you wake up and now something has happened, right? It's not like things are not being as
Transparent.
transparent. That is the word. Things are not being as transparent now, right? And so it is important um for civil societies within Ghana.
I let it feel.
Did you feel this here? Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So it's
I've been
important for
reading
us.
her name like Philippoku.
So it's important for civil societies in Ghana be as vigilant, as on top of their advocacy as possible, and for us to continue talking about it is because when we give them pressure and we ask for support from the international community to also lend affirm our voices, back our voices, then it put the pressure
Yeah.
on their toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And Lady Phil, it's a really complicated situation. And I'm going to read your comments again so that we can all, because I really want all of us to weigh in here. Lady Phil said, I love that this conversation is happening. From an international perspective, we want our advocacy to be directed by Ghanaians, civil society. Our strategy cannot be led with the voices of the global north, and this cannot be performative. Then Kwesi Nimako says the average individual lies heavily on the media, radio, newspaper, etc. I think it is the responsibility of most media houses to be genuine in their research and not lean into biases. Um, so on the media front, they are sellouts. They are homophobic. I remember when the bill was happening and I was in Accra and we went to a radio station and then they had all the ethics that journalists were supposed to follow and lots of non-discriminatory clauses in there. And I sat there and it was purely discriminatory. So unfortunately, we have to build our media houses. We have to build our pathways. We have to make our voices louder than the existing media houses because they've sold us out. And unfortunately, we don't have what you call it radio technology like Harry Potter to make our own incognito, whatever, whatever. Um, but I think we've done a lot of work in terms of counteracting the falsehood. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going beyond the bubble of those who care and actively seek out the truth. Now back to Lady Phil's perspective of advocacy needing to be directed by Ghanaians in terms of civil society. The reality is that queer organizing on the ground is fractured and fragmented on an organizational level, but also on a social level.
Mm-hmm.
So we cannot get bank accounts without it being frozen. We cannot formally do anything without getting harassed, which means what is left of civil society in the active sense or in the legal sense are homophobic people at worst and benevolent homophobes at best. And these people are very hard for the queer community to work with. When it comes to the queer community itself, visibility is now a big issue. Um,
Mm-hmm.
us who stood up and were visible were the ones that they came for when things went to SHIT. And that also means that those who are invisible might not be able to push things as far or be able to direct as visibly as will be needed to galvanize or build that unity that might will be needed because we are few. The activist community is few, and like I said, it's socially fractured. And I won't get into that because that is what do you call it? A behind closed doors conversation. Um, all this to say that we are working, and I see how we are working hand in hand with international communities. I saw it when the 21 activists were arrested. International
Yeah.
media reached out directly to us who were visible. They showed up at home in the courthouses. The letters were written, and I think all of this can happen without us on the ground leading. But in terms of how we on the ground can lead, I think there are so many strategies happening across so many organizations. And that is exactly what we need because we don't know where this will be going. I know there are some collectives that are building land, that are buying land and building safe houses outside of the capital city. There are those who are trying to like establish media platforms. There are those who are becoming lawyers. There are those who are becoming therapists. There are so many things happening, but it's not on an organizational level because the powers that be will not let it, and because of the social fracture, it doesn't let us organize on that level that can respond capably to the outpour of supports internationally. And I'm pointing this out because I think that is the gap that needs to be bridged in order for the Ghanaian directed response that is backed by international forces can be possible. We need to like bridge this. We need to figure out how can we get the activists on the ground and the transnationals like myself to organize, mobilize, stop fighting each other, you know, and actually focus on the work at hand. Um,
Yeah.
because if we don't do that, the support again will be fragmented and will keep being reactionary. Um, for me, the everyday Ghanaian is does not have gay people on their mind. You know, it is when they are pushed and provoked and incensed by people who have their own agendas. They are basically exploited, or their anger is exploited and misdirected towards queer people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and plenty talking. I'm just going to come back to this question again. Our strategy cannot be led with the voices of the global north, and this cannot be performative. Um, to me, in terms of the global north not being performative, it's bodies on the line. You know, it's bodies on the line. This whole thing started because the EU posted the launch of the LGBTQ community center on their Twitter, and Sam George saw it. Um, and this will end when everybody shows up, you know, bodies on the line. We need to march. Like, I remember when it was happening during the first time, my German Ghanaian friends who were at home in Ghana with me, they were like, we can go and protest at the Jubilee House because if they arrest us, the German government would have to intervene. You know, like there is a level of protection that is afforded the international community that enables them to act as buffers, but nobody wants to put their body on the line. And unfortunately, that is where the fight is. That is where the fight is. It's great that we get to sit in parliament and all of this, but that rigmarole takes 5 to 7 years for anything to succeed. But them shutting down a community center can incense an entire nation against queer people. It's the same way as taking to the streets can incense an entire nation against people. But it's bodies on the
Mm,
line. When we take to the streets, they will come and kill us, you know? So what is the buffer? What will safely allow us to express our anger? Um, you remember when we did that Twitter activation that everybody turned their profiles red? I think Drama Queen still even has their profile red. Like, we were trending for 3 days.
yeah.
Celebrities turned their profiles red. Imagine if that energy could be transformed into a physical thing. That would be something that can be amplified globally. That can be a, what do you call it? Yeah, that can be an opportunity for everybody to say, because the queer community have showed up and showed out, we can also like beat our chest and say, you know, to hell with what Ghana's parliament is trying to do to queer people. So yeah, I think for me, the international community has more access to queer people in Ghana than they are aware of. And there is work to be done in terms of healing the queer community in order for the queer community to be able to direct um, the efforts towards at least undoing all the harms that this colonial culture has imposed on us. And I think I'm
Yeah.
going to end there and leave Oreku to close us out.
Yeah, I do agree with almost everything you said. I feel like this fight is not just civil societies on the ground, just advocating for their human rights to be protected, because I feel like people are getting confused about what exactly the community wants. And there's one thing, it's very simple: protect our human rights. That's it. Protect our human rights, because it's not as though some people deserve for their human right to be protected and others do not. It is universal, and this conversation is being made about culture and human rights, law and law and culture.
As if we
But
are not there. You know,
yeah,
that's
but
what pisses me off, especially during the first time. It's like we are discussed as if we are not in the room. We are addressed as if we are not. The erasure is on a. And also, I wasn't able to send a memoranda, but I have a few things to get off my chest. So if anybody on this live sends a memoranda and they'll allow me 2 minutes to come and tell Parliament my mind, I might be exiled, but they'll hear it anyway.
yeah, so like I was saying, the message is, it's very simple: protect our human rights. The human rights of queer individuals, queer Ghanaians, need to be protected, and that's it. And this whole debate about, oh, culture, our culture this, our culture that, culture should not infringe on the dignity of the human being. That culture should not, like religion and culture, and should not, because the conversation is being framed and shaped as though that culture is static, culture does not evolve. That's even the culture that we know it today is still shaped some way by colonization, right? And we
Yeah,
are not ready to conversation.
yeah.
But even ready to have that conversation, can we at least see the humanity in every single queer person? Can we at
Yes.
least say that every single individual needs for their human rights to be protected? Because if you're saying that, oh, I'm criminalizing you because you identify as, that's very, that's wild. Every human being has his right to self-identify, to self-determine, right? That's your dignity. That's the fact that
Yeah.
you have to do this by yourself. You have to like self-identify, self-determine. But then if your freedom of expression is taken away from you, if your freedom of speech is taken away from you, if your freedom of association is taken away from you, if equality, you are not equal before the law, that's insane. Then
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
do we call ourselves a democratic nation now? So they it's we keep weaponizing state to discriminate against marginalized community. We keep I think it was Raymond Atuguba, there's a
Yeah.
professor
Yeah.
that said we weaponize morality to discriminate against marginalized communities. We weaponize morality against people whose life um life experience, I should say, life experience is different from ours, right? And that's very sad because we shouldn't be at a point where society is trying to um you know um try and separate us on our differences, right? That's and who also get to dictate what is
Yeah.
Ghanaian family. Who is dictating that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think what I'm going to add to this what I'm going to add to this conversation is that I the community is doing the work. The activists here, the human rights activists here, are doing the work. I just pray and hope that we come down, we come together very strongly to fight against this once again, because we've done it before. We've
Yeah.
done it before. Do it again,
Yeah.
and we're going to do it
Yeah.
again.
We'll
And
do it
so
again and again and again and again and again and again and
and,
again and
and
again.
it's not going to pass. Like, even if it pass, it's not going to be signed, because we are going. If it's an injunction that we will send an injunction. If we have to get onto the street and protest against it, we will do it. And so the international community should also be there with us every step of the way. They
Yeah.
shouldn't,
And stay
because
ready.
stay ready. I like that.
Yeah.
Stay ready. Don't lose guard, crowd, because if you door one hand, before you realize, they passed it in parliament again, and they're going to
Yeah.
sign it. And so it was nice. It was nice that the president came out to say that it's not the top of their priority. But because he has said that now, and the people that placed him in, that gave him their support, their power and all of this things to get him there, the
Yeah.
media and these leaders, now they are putting pressure on him.
Of
Now they are
course.
emotionally nailing him that, oh, somebody is about to die, and
When I
before they die,
Kyle.
want their dying wish to be that you pass this bill. Please die. Because queer people, like, you, like, there's a big issue about Ghana's yeah, water being polluted heavily. But nobody, like, that is not even a red alert, amber alert crisis for us to be, for everybody to be angry about. But then we wake up and
Yeah.
you want to talk about who is coming to somebody's room, who, like, it's insane, Selma. It's insane, the level of
Yeah.
things that has been stipulated in this bill, from identifying us, from even identifying us as an ally, as a support, the international community, all of you, they'll come for you.
All of you.
They will come
All
for
of
you.
you. No
And
year of
on top of
return.
it, they are weaponizing your like your ability to say something. They're telling you, they're criminalizing your silence. They are telling you that if you don't report, you are basically not standing for traditional family values. So therefore, you you are violating the law, which is insane.
Yeah. And
So
also
you're
like
basically, telling people to go and surveil, you know, when I grew up in a compound house. I grew up in a big family. And then in this setting, people can, creep in your windows and be watching what you're doing, and your own
goodbye,
privacy.
Lady Phil. Thank you so much for staying as long
Oh,
as you
bye.
did and for your thoughtful contributions. See you on the other side. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining. Love and solidarity. Protect human rights. Yes. So like, this whole bill is, trying to get people to surveil others so that, they have this sense of duty to report. And I feel like that's also very wild. So there's no part of this bill that is sane. That's what I'm going to say. There's no part of this bill that is sane. If we want to
Yeah.
protect human, if we want to protect Ghanaian family values, protect our children from child marriage, right? Protect our
Yeah.
children for them to clean waters.
Speaking of, do you know anybody working to end child marriage?
Oh, there's this organization that I saw on my
Link
Twitter
them to
feed.
me. I know somebody who looking to support such a program. So if you're also on this live and you know anyone or organization working to end child marriage, please text me.
Yeah, you might want to
And
check
shout
out
out to
Net.
you. You're doing the work.
Oh, we are doing the work, but yeah, thank you, thank. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. The message is not lost. Protect our human rights. Um, um, Culture would evolve. Culture is not static, and we are making it sound as though queer people are not Ghanaians and queer people just up and just became queer. But then we forget that queer people were once children, right? And their right to education were taken away from them because a lot of us were not. While we were experiencing our queerness, we didn't have education around it. But yet we grew up and then we
Till we
we explored,
rise.
be able to admit all the challenges, admit all the violence, admit all the trauma, admit all the the discrimination, the bullying, and all of these things. We still found ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So and we should stop this. And they're doing this thing where they are infringing on a child's right to education. Educate young people about comprehensive sexual education. Educate them about it. stop
Yeah.
stop this back and forth about this is sexuality is one thing and all of these things. That's what you are trying to put. You're trying to disguise it as, but it is
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the knowledge and the information out there. Gender, sexuality, there's is more expansive than just a binary concept, right? And educate our young people so that they can make safer decisions, so they can make informed decisions about some of these conversations. And we should stop doing this back and forth politics. There's politics that, see, there are two
Mm.
political parties. None of them are
Yeah, me bet
serving
your mocha.
interest. None of
Yeah,
them
me
are
bet your
serving.
mocha.
They are all aligning what is aligning with their pockets. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, thank you so much, Ora. I'm just going to read the last bits here. Kwesi Nimako says criminalization based on identity and gender expression is very dangerous. There is no human experience if that aspect of humanity is stripped. Doris agrees and says, stay ready. They are doing some real stealth with the passing of this version of the bill. Information is power. And Kwesi Nimako says again and again and again and again and again. Yes. And this was something I actually wanted to say, and I forgot to say it. But we can take the government of Ghana to court on the ECOWAS level.
I
Yes.
recently found out that Israel is a permanent member on ECOWAS, in our
Huh?
ECOWAS. So sometimes these bodies, I'm not as confident in them, but it's
That they
interesting.
would
Maybe we
make a
can
bad situation worse.
those legal processes and see how far it can go.
Yeah, because I know, like, for us, at least, I feel like we are lucky that we've reached that point in the world where internationally it is understood that queer lives are inherently valuable, are the same as everybody else, and all of this. And there's a lot of effort going for it. So I think, be as it may, that on the ECOWAS level, yes, there's a chance that they are going to raw dog us. Um, I also think that if we took this to the international level, like if we took it outside of Ghana and brought it on a regional level, we open it up to so much more international coverage and so much more international attention. And we know this
Mm-hmm.
is the only thing that seems to get our governments to fall in line.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like see the ECOWAS level. I know Namibia is not a part, or these other queer progressive African countries, but I feel like once at least it's on a regional level, they also have more access to say something, you know, or weigh in. So me, I'd say I wish Lady Phil was here to hear this part, but I'd say for me that's like an like a tangible path we should look at, you know, because we did a Supreme Court the first time that the bill was in Parliament. So now maybe
Yeah,
we go further.
we should.
And yeah, and Oreko and I agreed we would end this in an hour, and we are people of our words. So
Yes.
thank you so much for joining us. If you feel like you need this space anytime, hit me up and I'll create the opportunity so that we can sit down and talk.
Yeah.
Okay? Love you all. Enjoy
Thank
the
you
rest of
so
your
much, Selma.
days.
This was a lovely conversation, and
Thank
thank you
you,
for
Aura. Thank you for just being
bringing.
like, let's go. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Thank you
Yeah,
very
I
much.
am lucky to have friends who will literally just wear their chalewote and head out the door with you to picket on whatever cause. I'm really, really lucky. Thank you, Doris. Thank you, Kwesi. Thank you, Lady Phil. Thank you, Mirko. Thank you, Alex. Thank you all for coming. And
Thank
let's do
you.
this anytime, anywhere. Hit me up. Munina mo me WhatsApp and our Instagram. So, mwah. Bye bye.
Ciao. Bye.
Now, how does one end this? Bye bye, Aura.
Bye.